Here in this video, we will showcase the 10 biggest navies and star fleets of Star Wars, from all the factions that have proper numbers or those where we can properly estimate from given information in the franchise. So let's get to it. At number 10 we have the Rebel Alliance fleet. This started as a loose collection of ships owned by different worlds, of different resistance groups, smugglers and defectors who opposed the Empire. In the early years of the Galactic Civil War, the rebels were badly outnumbered and could not build large fleets like the Empire, so they relied on stolen ships, salvaged ones from the old Confederacy, even retired vessels and mostly starfighters. Everything changed though when the Mon Calamari joined the alliance and brought their powerful MC-80 star cruisers and shipyards. Under the leadership of Mon Mothma and Admiral Jil Akbar, the scattered rebel forces were organized into a true navy with battle groups, standardized training and coordinated strategies. Instead of copying Imperial tactics, the rebels focused on quality over quantity, fielding starfighters equipped with shieldings and hyperdrives that could survive longer and operate independently. They often used clever tactics like the Akbar Slash, which forced their ships into enemy formations where Imperial gunners risked hitting their own vessels. So even at its peak, the rebel fleet was tiny compared to the Imperial Navy, likely numbering around between 200 and 300 ships of the line, including roughly a dozen or 2 dozen MC-80 star cruisers, several dozen frigates like the Nebulan Bees, and maybe a couple hundred of smaller corvettes, even gunships, transports, and then hundreds of starfighters like the X-Wing, the A-Wing, and the B-Wing. At number 9 we have the fleet of the Chiss. So the Chiss Defense Fleet and the Expansionary Fleet was the military force of the Chiss Ascendancy that protected Chiss space from threats lurking in dangerous unknown regions. Unlike many galactic powers, the Chiss did not build their fleet to conquer other civilizations. Instead, it was formed to patrol the borders of the Ascendancy territory and to defend against invaders. The CEDF, or the Chiss Expansionary Defense Fleet, operated a wide variety of ships including heavy cruisers, destroyers, patrol cruisers, missile boats, courier vessels, defense platforms, and powerful warships like the Night Dragon man-of-war vessels. Based on information from the Thrawn Ascendancy era, the Expansionary Fleet itself was estimated to have fielded around 60 major warships, while the larger defense fleet may have contained roughly 180 ships. And in addition to these, each of the 9 great families maintained their own private fleets, greatly increasing the Ascendancy's overall military strength. When all of these forces were combined, the Chiss would potentially call upon 480 vessels or maybe even 500, which are larger than a corvette, which made them one of the strongest powers in the unknown regions. At number 8 we have the Trade Federation Fleet. So this was the enormous private navy of the Trade Federation, originally created to protect its vast shipping networks and commercial interests across the galaxy. As the Federation grew richer and more powerful, it quietly transformed many of its gigantic cargo vessels into warships, which created one of the largest non-governmental fleets in galactic history. The backbone of the fleet was the massive Locker Hulk-class battleship, a huge ring-shaped vessel, originally designed as a freighter but later converted into a heavily armed command ship. Before the Clone Wars, the Federation already possessed hundreds of these giant vessels along with hundreds of other smaller missile frigates, cruisers, destroyers, and support ships, which are crewed largely by droids. The Federation also operated the Munificent class star frigates, also landing ships, and vast numbers of Vulture droid starfighters, which gave it the ability to fight major space battles while simultaneously invading other planets. Although exact numbers were never really officially stated, the Trade Federation likely controlled one of the largest corporate fleets ever assembled, likely a few thousand ships at their peak. At number 7 we have the First Order Navy. So this was the massive military fleet created from the remnants of the old Galactic Empire after its defeat at the Battle of Jakku. Hidden deep within the unknown regions, the First Order spent decades rebuilding in secret, constructing new warships, training soldiers, and developing advanced technology, while the New Republic paid little attention to them. The fleet was centered around hundreds of resurgent class star destroyers, supported by heavy cruisers, frigates, light cruisers, landing craft bombers, and massive warships such as the Manator IV class siege dreadnoughts. At the top of the fleet stood the gigantic Supremacy, a mega-class star dreadnought, the biggest warship ever built, and the mobile headquarters of the Supreme Leader Snoke. By the time of the destruction of the New Republic in the year 34 ABY, the First Order possessed enough ships to launch a full-scale conquest of the entire galaxy, likely numbering several hundred major capital ships, thousands of supporting vessels and starfighters. Near the end of the conflict, This navy was bolstered by the Sith Eternal's Final Order fleet on Exegol. That hidden armada alone consisted of exactly 1,080 Resistance-class Star Destroyers, each of them armed with a planet-destroying super laser. If combined successfully, the First Order and the Final Order together would have fielded one of the most powerful fleets in Star Wars history, although they were still far from the biggest. Number 6. The New Republic Navy. So this Navy of the New Republic, also called the Defense Fleet, was the successor to the Rebel Alliance fleet and became the main military navy of the New Republic after the Empire's defeat. It began as a patchwork force made of former Rebel warships, donated vessels from member worlds, captured Imperial warships, and volunteer defense fleets from across the galaxy. Under the leadership of Admiral Jill Akbar, the fleet was reorganized into a professional military force. But unlike the Empire, the New Republic preferred flexible task forces built around balanced groups of cruisers, carriers, escorts, and starfighters that could respond quickly to threats. Over time, the fleet expanded dramatically as hundreds of shipyards contributed thousands of vessels, and a new class modernization program introduced advanced ships like the Nebula class, the Starhawk battleship, and the Republic class Star Destroyers. The New Republic 5th Fleet alone eventually reached a strength of around 500 capital ships organized into 5 battle groups. Since this was only one of at least 5 major fleets, the total New Republic Defense Fleet likely numbered several thousand capital ships, with thousands more of escorts, starfighters, transports, and support vessels. On the 5th spot we have the Yuuzhan Vong. So this was the enormous living armada used by the species called the Yuuzhan Vong during their invasion of the galaxy in the Yuuzhan Vong War. Unlike the mechanical fleets of the Republic Empire or the New Republic, every Yuuzhan Vong vessel was a living, genetically engineered organism grown through biotechnology. The fleet was formed over generations as the Yuuzhan Vong wandered through intergalactic space aboard these massive world ships after leaving their original galaxy. Decades before the invasion began, they secretly sent scouts and agents ahead to gather intelligence and to prepare for their arrival. The first wave, known as the Pretorite Vong, entered the galaxy to establish a foothold, and although much of that force was destroyed at Helska 4, larger fleets soon followed. Early in the invasion, the New Republic analysts estimated that the Yuuzhan Vong's strength was around 1,000 capital ships, but this was only a fraction of their true power. Later battles suggest that the fleet grew to several thousand major warships, with more than 5,000 vessels participating alone in the huge campaign like the defense of Mont Calamari and the assault on Coruscant. On the 4th spot we have the Resistance Navy. So the Resistance fleet from the sequel trilogy was originally much smaller than the old Rebel Alliance fleet, and it was formed decades after the fall of the Empire when General Leia Organa secretly organized the Resistance to monitor and oppose the growing threat of the First Order. Because the New Republic did not fully support large military buildup, the Resistance had to rely on donations, sympathetic worlds, retired warships, and volunteers. At the start of the war against the First Order, the fleet was tiny, centered around the powerful MC-85 star cruiser called the Raiders, and a handful of escort ships, frigates, corvettes, transports, and starfighter squadrons. During the flight from the Supremacy, the fleet consisted of only 4 major capital ships along with several dozen starfighters and also support craft. Unlike the Rebel Alliance, which eventually fielded hundreds of warships, the Resistance spent most of its existence operating as a tiny, mobile force dependent on speed, stealth, and elite pilots. By the time of the final battle over Exegol, the Resistance itself probably possessed only a few dozen military vessels at most. However, their small numbers would eventually grow exponentially to over 14,000 when the Citizen Fleet would join the Resistance Navy and enter the battle against the Final Order over Exegol. On the 3rd spot we have the Separatist Navy. So the Confederate Navy, often called the Separatist Fleet, was the enormous naval force of the Confederacy of Independent Systems during the Clone Wars. Rather than being built by a single government, it was formed from the combined military contributions of thousands of star systems, of corporations and powerful organizations. These groups donated a huge number of warships, droid starfighters and battle droids to create a navy capable of challenging the Galactic Republic. The fleet's backbone consisted of Lucre hulls, Munificent frigates, Recusant destroyers, Providence dreadnoughts, and countless support vessels. Unlike the Republic Navy, the Separatists entered the conflict with a vast industrial might and many private fleets. It was said that a single Confederate fleet could contain anywhere from about 200 to 4,000 vessels. and there were records that indicate that the Confederate Navy comprised at least 100 such fleets. While not every fleet would have been at maximum number or strength, this alone suggests a total force of tens of thousands of warships and support craft when all fleets are included. Number 2. The Old Republic Navy. The Republic Navy was the military fleet of the Galactic Republic during the Clone Wars and was created almost overnight when the Republic suddenly found itself at war with the Confederacy of Independent Systems. At the start of the conflict, existing Republic Defense Forces and planetary fleets were absorbed into the new Navy, while shipyards across the galaxy rapidly expanded production of warships like the Acclamator-class assault ship and later the iconic Venator-class Star Destroyer. During the 3-year war, the Republic continuously built new ships to replace old losses, resulting in one of the largest military expansions in the entire galactic history. Many fans estimate that roughly 2,000 or more Venator-class Star Destroyers were built and were operational by the time of the Battle of Coruscant alone. When wartime losses, scrap vessels, and replacement production are considered, the total Venator-class Star Destroyers may have reached around 4,000 to 5,000 ships over the course of the war. The Acclamator production likely exceeded also 1,000 or 2,000 vessels, while thousands of smaller warships served alongside these larger capital ships. By the final year of the Clone Wars, the navy of the Grand Army of the Republic had grown to a colossal force likely numbering many tens of thousands of capital ships and tens of thousands of supporting vessels, making it one of the largest fleets in Star Wars history. And of course, at the top spot we have the Galactic Empire Navy. The Imperial Navy was the gigantic military fleet of the Empire and was formed directly from the Old Republic Navy after Palpatine transformed it into the Empire at the end of the Clone Wars. Determined to prevent another rebellion, the Empire massively expanded its military, building countless warships to enforce its rule across millions of inhabited worlds. The Imperial Navy became the largest branch of the Imperial military and served as the main symbol of Imperial power. The backbone of this force was, of course, the Imperial-class Star Destroyers, massive warships designed to intimidate as much as fight. At its peak, the Empire officially fielded around 25,000 Star Destroyers, supported by hundreds of thousands of cruisers, frigates, corvettes, carriers, transport, supply ships, and millions of TIE fighters. And above the Star Destroyers were the enormous Super Star Destroyers and Dreadnoughts like the Executor, the Manator, with estimates ranging from over a dozen to over 50 of these in service. At its height, the Imperial Navy was no doubt the largest military fleet in Star Wars history, possessing tens of thousands of ISDs or Imperial Star Destroyers and maybe a million or more of other smaller vessels. And with that we end this video on the 10 biggest space fleets and navies in Star Wars. So do hit the like button for support and also click that bell button for regular updates on new video uploads. Also subscribe to be a part of Legion Notebook, and till the next time, take care, boys.